I never imagined I'd have to start over at 38. I used to picture my life as a home that could never crumble. But sometimes, the walls you build with love are the first to collapse. I remember that night, the quiet was so loud it hurt. The kids were asleep, their small breaths filling the darkness with rhythm. I sat at the edge of the bed, hands shaking, phone still glowing with the last words he said. There wasn't even a fight, just silence. A silence that felt like the end of a chapter I wasn't ready to close. I kept asking myself what I did wrong. Was I too soft? Too strong? Too hopeful? I replayed every moment, every smile that turned into a sigh, every promise that slowly faded. The truth is, sometimes love leaves without a goodbye. It just stops showing up. And when it does, you still have to wake up the next morning. You still have to make breakfast, pack school bags, braid your daughter's hair, and pretend the ache in your chest is just another ordinary day. My little boy asked, "Mommy, where's Daddy?" I told him he's away for now. But what I really wanted to say was, "He's gone, baby." And I'm still learning how to breathe without him. They don't deserve to see their mother broken. But sometimes broken is all I have to give. I used to cry quietly in the bathroom, letting the water hide the sound. I'd look at myself in the mirror, puffy eyes, trembling lips, and whisper, "You have to be strong." But strength isn't something you find overnight. It's something you build slowly, piece by piece, in the middle of chaos. Change is terrifying. Letting go feels like losing yourself. But deep down, I knew I couldn't stay trapped in memories that hurt more than they healed. So I started talking to God again. Not the fancy prayers, just honest ones. The kind you whisper through tears. The kind that sound like, "Please help me." Some nights, I fall on my knees. Literally not out of defeat, but because standing takes too much energy. And in that quiet place, I tell myself that peace is still possible. Maybe I lost him, but I won't lose myself. Maybe my story isn't over. Maybe it's just beginning again, slower, softer, wiser. The mornings are the hardest. The sunlight slips through the curtains and touches everything. I used to love the framed photo of us at the beach, the coffee mug he bought me, the jacket still hanging by the door. Every object seems to whisper, "Remember?" But memory can be cruel when you're trying to heal. So, I began changing little things. I replaced the sheets, moved the furniture, painted one wall white because white feels like space to breathe. My children noticed first. My daughter said, "Mommy, the house looks new." I smiled. Maybe we all need something new. They don't know how many nights I stayed awake counting bills, counting tears, counting all the ways I could make this work alone. But they also don't know how. Every small smile of theirs gave me another reason to try again the next morning. People think healing is loud, posting quotes, cutting your hair, making declarations. But sometimes healing is quiet. It's doing the dishes with trembling hands. It's cooking dinner even when you can't taste the food. It's listening to your child's laughter and realizing that sound is stronger than your sadness. There were days I almost called him. Not because I wanted him back, but because I missed who I used to be when we were happy. But I knew that version of me was gone. She had given everything, and now she deserved rest. I began writing letters I'd never sent. Each one started with, "I forgive you," and ended with, "I release you." Some nights, I tore them up. Some nights, I folded them neatly and placed them in a box, proof that I was trying. It wasn't instant peace. Healing never is. But slowly, the pain began to lose its sharp edges. I could look at his name without my heart racing. I could hear our song and not break down. And one day I realized the house didn't feel empty anymore. It just felt like ours. My kids filled every corner with laughter. They became my rhythm, my reason, my reminder that life goes on even after it falls apart. I started walking again, literally walking, around the neighborhood, through the park, anywhere that reminded me I was still alive. Each step felt like reclaiming a little piece of myself that grief had stolen. And I whispered, "You're still here. You're still breathing. You're still worthy." I didn't notice when the heavy crying stopped. One evening, I realized I've made it through an entire day without tears. The pain was still there, soft, quiet, but it wasn't running my life anymore. That night, after putting the kids to bed, I sat on the balcony with a cup of tea and watched the sky turn from gold to blue. For the first time in a long time, I felt something gentle inside me. It wasn't happiness yet, but it was close. Maybe peace starts as a whisper. I began to look at myself differently. Not as a woman who was left behind, but as a woman who stayed to rebuild. For so long, I had measured my worth by who loved me, who stayed, who said my name. But love isn't proof of value. Survival is. I started writing small notes to myself on sticky paper, little truths like, "You're doing better than you think." "The kids see your strength, not your pain." "Peace is your birthright." Each morning I'd read them before I woke the children. Sometimes they made me smile. Sometimes they made me cry again, but the good kind of tears, the kind that wash away the ache. My daughter began to help me cook. My son followed me everywhere, holding my hand like it was a lifeline. They didn't need perfect, they needed present, and that was something I could still give. I joined an online class, something small about digital design. It felt strange to be learning again, to be doing something just for me. But that little spark of curiosity grew. Every time I opened my laptop, I felt a door creak open inside my chest. I thought about how much of myself I had buried under years of keeping peace for someone else. Now I was learning to keep peace within myself. There were setbacks. Days when loneliness crept in like an old habit. Days when I missed being touched, being seen. But I reminded myself, missing what hurt you is part of healing. It doesn't mean you should go back. Sometimes, late at night, I'd whisper to the dark, "I forgive you," but more importantly, I forgive me. I forgave myself for staying too long, for believing I could love someone enough to make them whole, for forgetting that I was enough even when I was alone. Forgiveness didn't erase the past. It just loosened its grip, and in that space, something new began to grow hope. I saw it in my children's laughter, in my reflection, in every sunrise that kept showing up even when I didn't ask it to. Life was quietly inviting me to start again, and maybe this time I'd build not from fear or need, but from peace. Some mornings I still wake up expecting to hear his keys in the door. The mind takes time to learn what the heart already knows. But now, instead of breaking, I breathe, I stretch. I thank God for another day to begin again. The kids climb into my bed, tiny hands, sleepy faces. Their laughter fills the space that silence once owned. I used to look at them and see the weight of responsibility. Now I see the reason I survived. I've learned that healing isn't a straight road. It's a winding path of remembering and releasing. Falling and rising, crying, and then laughing for no reason at all. There are days when I still ache, but I no longer fear the ache. Pain, too, is proof that I'm still alive. People ask how I'm doing. I tell them, I'm learning peace. Because peace isn't a place you arrive at. It's a practice. It's choosing to stay gentle with yourself when the world gets loud. It's learning to live with what you can't, change, and still believe in what's ahead. Sometimes I think back to the woman. I was the one who thought love meant holding on no matter how much it hurt. If I could talk to her now, I'd say, you are allowed to let go. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to start over. Letting go didn't mean I stopped loving. It meant I stopped losing myself trying to keep something that no longer wanted to stay. Sometimes at night, when the house is quiet and the kids are asleep, I sit by the window again. The moonlight spills across the floor, and I think about everything I thought I'd lost. Then I realize I didn't lose. I transformed. Every heartbreak, every tear, every sleepless night carved strength into my bones. And to anyone listening, anyone sitting in their own dark room, holding on to memories that hurt, please hear me. You are not alone. You are not broken beyond repair. You can begin again. Change is frightening. Starting over is messy. But staying in pain will cost you more than fear ever will. So choose peace, even if it shakes. Choose yourself, even when it feels selfish. Because your life matters. Your story isn't over. It's unfolding. The other night, my daughter asked me, Mommy, are you happy now? I smiled, not because everything was perfect, but because, for the first time, I could answer honestly, yes, baby. I think I'm learning too. I tucked them in, kissed their foreheads, and turned off the light. Then I knelt down beside my bed, just me, the quiet and a heart that finally felt light. And I whispered the same prayer I whispered on the hardest nights. Thank you for never leaving me, even when I almost left myself. Peace doesn't come all at once. It comes in pieces, one deep breath, one small victory, one act of grace at a time.